And in fact, it has been an essential part of the way of life and vision for life in ancient India. Anubandhacatuṣṭaya, or the four Anubandhas, enable us to keep the thread unbroken in any pursuit. Etymologically, the term Anubandha has twofold connotations. Anu, the prefix, denotes something that follows a concept, something that follows a concept or a task taken up after the previous one, and bandha suggests something which binds. The concepts which constantly followed up with a proposition are its anubandhas. They lie on the periphery, but they persist and have to be looked after constantly. Anubandha thus implies continuity and regularity of practice, as well as remaining associated to a discipline. The seeker of knowledge should be ordained and groomed in a discipline after due consideration of the quadruplet, which is Anubandhacatuṣṭaya. In fact, in all walks of life, a person should proceed only after considering the anubandhas involved in that task. Anubandhadikam drashtva sarvam karyam yathakramam, it is said in the tradition. And the tradition therefore defines the benefits of considering the Anubandhacatuṣṭaya as prakritasya anuvartanam, continuous follow-up action for a task taken up, and prakrantasya anivartanam, not going back from the task undertaken. For any meaningful activity, be it a get-together, a tea party, or any other event, maybe symposium, seminar, Anubandhacatuṣṭaya, or consideration of the four Anubandhas, is a desideratum. Anubandhacatuṣṭaya is a pervasive concept and can be applied to each and every activity in life. And eventually it would mean a search for meaning and fulfillment in life, a search for coherence and unified design in any subject. The proponent's view of holding a discussion on Anubandhacatuṣṭaya may be opposed on the ground that any such discussion will be simply a digression and a deterrent for the main action. If we start considering the Anubandhas for a plan of action, this will lead to a series of futile questions. This is the Purupaksh's view, or prima facie view. For example, Purupakshi, or the opponent, says a question may be asked as to what will be the Anubandhacatuṣṭaya for the seminar on Anubandhacatuṣṭaya itself. And if we engage in a discussion on the Anubandhacatuṣṭaya for the seminar on Anubandhacatuṣṭaya, what will be the Anubandhacatuṣṭaya for this discussion? This will lead to an anavastha or infinite regress, or anishta prasanga, reduction ad absurdum. But this objection is ridiculous and is marred by anishta prasanga itself. No sensible person jumps into an action without considering the Anubandhacatuṣṭaya for that action. And any such consideration will not have the defect of anavastha or infinite regress and anishta prasanga, that is reduction ad absurdum, because Anubandhacatuṣṭaya for one particular action is exhausted with that particular action itself. It does not generate another set of Anubandhacatuṣṭaya. And we all know adhikari, an eligible person, vishaya, subject, sambandha, relation, and prayojana, purpose. These are the four aspects of the quadruplicates known as Anubandhacatuṣṭaya. So in the tradition of Shastras, Anubandhacatuṣṭaya is normally defined in the beginning of a text in clear-cut terms. But there are cases which I will be dealing in my lecture here, where the Anubandhacatuṣṭaya is not specifically taken up for definition in the text. There are two reasons for this. Number one, the Anubandhacatuṣṭaya for that particular Shastra is very well known through Sampradaya, that is Guru Shishya Parampara. Number two, the Anubandhacatuṣṭaya is implicitly built in the structural design of the text. Adhikari is supposed to be the person authorized to study or receive the knowledge of a particular discipline, which is the first component of Anubandhacatuṣṭaya. But the Adhikari Vichara for the consideration should be further extended to include in it the person who is entitled to impart the teaching in that particular discipline. I propose that the concept of Adhikari should be further extended. And as we will consider the Anubandhacatuṣṭaya in my discipline, the necessity to expand this concept of Anubandhacatuṣṭaya, I am feeling it. that whatever Anubandhacatuṣṭaya the tradition gives us, we have to further expand it. The concept of adhikari and vishay and prayojan also. So in the present scenario, Anubandhacatuṣṭaya can further be defined in two ways: Anubandhacatuṣṭaya in general and Anubandhacatuṣṭaya in particular. We may consider Anubandhacatuṣṭaya for all the disciplines covered by the umbrella term, the Indian knowledge systems in general, and the Anubandhacatuṣṭaya for a particular discipline falling in the gamut of IKS also we can consider. So Anubandhacatuṣṭaya with reference to a particular knowledge system should not, however, come into clash with the general Anubandhacatuṣṭaya serving all knowledge systems. So they are the two levels of Anubandhacatuṣṭaya, and a particular knowledge system may have its specific Anubandhacatuṣṭaya or the four items under the quadruplet, and they should be in harmony with the general outline of the Anubandhacatuṣṭaya for all the knowledge systems which you will be defining or you might have defined in this very important seminar. So at the backdrop of this, I will take up defining the Anubandhacatuṣṭaya or four prerequisites of the discipline, which is arts, aesthetics, and literature. Knowledge forms an essential part of artistic and poetic activity. The consideration of Anubandhacatuṣṭaya in the area of aesthetics and art activity is necessary as it is in any other discipline. The concepts of quadruplicates under Anubandhacatuṣṭaya, however, will be much more variegated and multifaceted in case of artistic and literary creativity. So difference will be there, and in a particular discipline, there may be specific Anubandhacatuṣṭayas which may be having a broader area. So unlike the philosophical disciplines like Vedanta and Sankhya, the production of knowledge under arts, aesthetics, and literature is not a linear process between the teacher and the taught. It is a triplicate process here, involving multi-dimensional layers of time and space. The creator, the object created, and the receiver form the three centers of action in this triangular process. Natyashastra of Bharat Muni is the most voluminous encyclopedic text on theatre, dramaturgy, musicology, Sangeet Shastra, the art of dance, Alankar Shastra, that is literary theory or poetics, prosody or Chandas Shastra, and many other disciplines also, because Natya involves many disciplines, and the knowledge of these disciplines is as necessary for the practice of Natya, very much necessary for the practice of Natya. So I will discuss how Bharat Muni defines the Anubandhacatuṣṭaya for all these disciplines in the beginning of this text. Natyashastra itself is a conglomeration of various knowledge systems. In fact, the first chapter of Natyashastra is a brilliant exposition of its Anubandhacatuṣṭaya, though not directly, but through various episodes and narratives. This chapter consists of the following episodes. Number 1, benediction or salutation to the deities who belong to the Natya or the theatre, the art of theatre. Then second episode is about some inquisitive sages who come to make inquiries about the Natya Veda, and they pose questions about the genesis, the authorities, the epistemes and components of Natya, and this initiates responses by Bharat Muni to their queries. And the first question is about the origin of Natya, then what is Natya, the definition of Natya or theatre practice, then the purpose of Natya, and for whom the Natya is created, and how many components does it have. So Natya Veda Katham Brahman Utpanna Kasyiva Krate Katyanga Kim Pramanascha Prayogaschasya Kidrasha. These are the 5 questions which the other sages who were Jigyasus presented before Bharat Muni, and Bharat Muni started speaking. Whatever Bharat Muni spoke is Natyashastra. So the responses to the queries in the first chapter, they also bring out very beautifully the Anubandhacatuṣṭaya of Natya. And right from the beginning, when Bharat Muni starts speaking, even before the sages come, he says that I will be speaking Natya Veda. Pranamya Shirsa Devu Pitamaha Maheshwarau Natyashastram Pravakshami Brahmana Yadudaratam. This is the benedictory stanza in the Natyashastra. Bharat Muni says that I bow my head in supplication to two gods, Pitamaha, that is Brahma, the creator of the world, and Maheshwara, that is Shiva. Maheshwara is supreme God, and proceed to proclaim, and then I will proceed to proclaim the Natyashastra, which was initially propounded by Brahma. This is the benedictory stanza, and apparently this stanza appears to be simply a propitiation, but it very subtly brings out the Anubandhacatuṣṭaya of the Natyashastra, involving a gamut of several arts, crafts, and sciences. The first word is pranamya. Pranamya, after doing pranama or salutation. This shows humbleness and respect for the deities, for the gods who are the presiding deities for this art of Natya. Bowing down by head indicates angik abhinaya, the physical gestures which are involved in the performance. And the Shirsa Pranamya, then the devotion, he is bowing down before those gods by bowing his head. So this is Shirobhinaya. 13 types of Shirobhinayas or postures of Shiras or head, they are described. So this involves the whole process of Angik Abhinaya, because all the limbs are joined together. If you are doing Shirobhinaya, then all other limbs are also in movement. So this is Angik Abhinaya, is indicated by the word Pranamya. Then the devotion for the two deities involves Sattvic Abhinaya. If you are a devotee to these Maheshwar and Pitama and Maheshwara, you have faith in them, then this will involve a kind of Sattvic feeling. And Sattvic Abhinaya is indicated here by the term Pranamya Shirsa, because the devotion is being offered with a feeling. The announcement in words indicates Vachik Abhinaya. Now, henceforth, I will proclaim Natyashastra, Natyashastram Pravakshami. So this indicates Vachik Abhinaya, verbal gesticulation. And this suggests that all the varieties of Abhinaya means not acting only, it is performance, theater, the whole theater performance. Prayogo yashtu natyade bhaved abhinayo hisa. The whole performance is Abhinaya. So the whole performance is indicated, and the components of performance are also brought out by the words Pranamya Shirsa Devau and Pitama Maheshwarau. Abhinavagupta gives a very beautiful explanation of the Dvandva Samasa, the compound involved joining Pitama and Maheshwara. He says that there is a Chekanupras here. Pitama Maheshwara, the Maha is repeated. So Bharat Muni wants to suggest that there should be beauty in Vachik Abhinaya. Whatever we speak on stage, it should be aesthetically beautiful. Because this Chekanuprasa makes the rhythmic pattern, and it brings out beauty. So the whole performance should exude beauty. So this indicates that aesthetics is as much involved in the theater practice. So in this way, the subjects, the themes covered by Natya are indicated by Bharat Muni by the words Pranamya Shirsa Devau Pitama Maheshwarau and Natyashastram Pravakshami. I will henceforth speak the Natyashastra that indicates Vachik Abhinaya also. This is Abhinavagupta's explanation. And Brahmana Yadudaratam. This has a very lengthy commentary by Bhattanayak and Abhinavagupta. They said that as the whole cosmos, Brahmanda is created by Brahma, and as the four Vedas are created by Brahma, so this Natya Veda also initially is created by Brahma. So the purpose of the creation is equally the purpose of the creation of Natya Veda. The purpose of creation of this cosmos is the liberation of mankind. So in the same way, the purpose of creating the Natya or Natya Veda or the art of theater and drama is the liberation of mankind. Eventually, it is mukti, salvation of the mankind. I very much believe in this idea that the poetry, arts, and aesthetics, they lead to the emancipation of the mankind and humanity, moksha, ultimately. And it is logically established by Abhinavagupta. There is no doubt about it. It's a logistic process. but there will be no time to talk about it. And whatever Bharat Muni is saying, only in the first chapter, I will try to cover it, how the anubandhas of the whole Natyashastra and the whole arts, aesthetics, music, musicology, dance, abhinaya, performance, and dramaturgy, they are covered in the very first chapter, not directly spoken out in Abhida, but they are very powerfully brought out by Bharat Muni. And Bharat Muni spins various episodes and gives an outline of the Natyashastra, bringing out the attributions included in the Anubandhacatuṣṭaya. By the okay, I have covered it. And Natyashastram pravakshami. He declares that I will henceforth give a discourse on Natyashastra. So Natyashastram, what does it mean? Natyasya natavrattasya shastram shashanopayam grantham. It is the shashanopaya. It is the shastra which lays down the codes, conducts, and ethics for the natas. Natanam samuho natyam. The conglomeration or the community of natas or the performers is natya. And the shastra written for them is Natyashastra. So by the very use of term Natyashastra, and henceforth I will give a discourse on Natyashastra by these words, Bharat Muni brings out that the purpose of Natyashastra is to set models and standards for the natas or the performers and the kavis also, because they are also very much involved. What are they performing? The natas, what are they performing? They are performing a text. That text is given by a poet, a kavi. Because Natya is kavya, it is Shravya kavya. So everything is covered by kavya. Kavya is not simply poetry. Kavya is all forms of literature. So the authors, they are also included in this Natyashastra, and they will also be guided. It will set models and norms for the kavis, that means the authors of the scripts for drama, and the natas are who are the performers. So Natyashastra in this way proceeds with a systematic presentation of the conceptual framework as well as the theories and practices of the theatre that had involved during the preceding millennia before Bharat Muni. This is what is meant here, that whatever the practices they have prevailed earlier, the practices of the great actors who have succeeded on the stage, on the basis of those practices, a standard form of natya and performance and guide book or a manual will be created through this text. So this is the idea. Then Brahma is the creator of this Natya Veda, and Bharat Muni is its spokesperson or pravakta. So Brahma gave Natyashastra in the form of eternal Natya Veda. The purpose of the creation of Veda is to make the people capable of attaining Purusharthas. Therefore, making the Adhikarins capable of attaining the Purusharthas is the purpose of Natya Veda and Natyashastra. Bhattanayaka proposes that since Natya Veda is created by Brahma, and the purpose of whatever that is created by Brahma lies in the emancipation or liberation of mankind. It's a lengthy explanation by Bhattanayaka, the great predecessor of Abhinavagupta, and Abhinavagupta agrees with Bhattanayaka, and I will not go into the details of it. Then the 5 questions which are posed by sages before Bharat Muni, and the episode how these sages approached Bharat Muni and presented those questions, and what are the significance? What is the significance of those questions? So because of the Bharat Muni's responses to these questions, all the Anubandhacatuṣṭaya is covered in those responses, and Natyashastra becomes a great grand discourse for teaching the kavis and natas. And therefore, who are the adhikarins for this Natyashastra? The kavis and natas, the performers and the authors. They are the adhikarins or the eligible persons to whom this discipline, the knowledge of the discipline will be imparted. But the audiences, they also come in the purview, because for whom they are performing and for whom they are writing. So they are also to be trained, as Bharat Muni speaks. So this is the trinity of Kavi, Nat and Prekshaka. The word Darshaka is not used in Natyashastra. He doesn't simply see. He is not an onlooker. He does Prakashta Iksha. He is very much involved in the creation, in the creative process. So he is a part of the whole creative process of the art of theatre, and therefore he is also included in the periphery of Anubandhacatuṣṭaya as an adhikarin. So for all these three, this Natyashastra is created, and its a subject and its purpose. It is also made clear in the very first karika, and again through these 5 questions. So Bharat Muni then starts responses to the 5 questions presented by those sages, and he says that the Natya Veda was created because a need for the 5th Veda was felt by gods to save the humanity. The gods felt that all the 4 Vedas are not meant for every person in the society, every member of the society. For the women and for the Shudras, they are no more to be used by them. So we need a 5th Veda. Tasmat Sraja Param Vedam Panchamam Sarvavarnikam. You please create a 5th Veda, which will be the Sarvavarnik Veda. This also spells out the area of Natyashastra, that it is the Sarvavarnik Pancham Veda, without any discrimination of caste, color and creed, without any discrimination in the hierarchy of Varna Vyavastha. This Natya Veda, the art of drama and theatre, is meant for all. This is the idea, and it is a Veda because it is an eternal knowledge as given by Brahma. So these are the characteristics, and the way it is created, whole creative process is explained in the first chapter, Naikantatotra Bhavatam Devanam Chanubhavanam Trailokyasya Sarvasya Natyam Bhavanukirtanam. How the opponents come to decry the performance after it is created and the first performance is done. So all these episodes are there in the first chapter, and Bharat Muni says that it doesn't have any bias for anybody. It is free. It is for all, and it is recreating all the levels of time and space. Trailokya Anubhavanam. Trailokyasya Sarvasya Natyam Bhavanukirtanam. It recreates the essence of the multi-layered structures of time and space. So this definition of Natya also gives its functioning and its purposes by Bharat Muni, and its relation to Purusharthas, because if it is a Veda, it will lead to the attainment of Purusharthas, and this idea is very much discussed by Bharat Muni through the words of Brahma, how the performance of Natya would lead to Dharma, Artha, Kama and Moksha, and this is logically spelled out, because those who are interested in learning about the ways of life, the ways of Nagarika, the men of taste, they will know the ways of good ways of life, the civil ways from Natyashastra, or the performance of Natya, because Natyashastra is describing how to perform. So all those things which are served by the performance will be learned through the study of Natyashastra as well. So the Anubandhacatuṣṭaya of the performance of Natya and the Anubandhacatuṣṭaya of the study of Natyashastra, they are akin. So in this way, dharmo dharma pravrittanam kama kamopasevinam, it will be dharma for those who are interested in dharma. It will serve the knowledge of kama for those who are interested in it. And vinitanam damanakriya, it will discipline the life of others, and it will impart the knowledge of artha as well. So these 4 purusharthas and the motivation for the 4 purusharthas is gained by the knowledge of Natyashastra and by seeing any performance. So these are the this forms the periphery of the purpose of Natya. And I will omit other details, and the other theorists who are the commentators of Natyashastra, they elaborate upon the ideas, and they connect the Purusharthas to the whole process of the aesthetics and performance of Natya. How rasa realization will be there only when the motivation for Purusharthas is there. So Bharat Muni just says that there are four fundamental rasas which are basically connected to four Purusharthas. The Vira rasa is connected to Dharma, Shanga rasa is connected to Kama, Vibhas rasa is connected to Shanta, and Raudra rasa is connected to Artha Purushartha. These are the four fundamental rasas. Then the Abhinavgupta and other philosophers, they explain how the rasa realization will lead to the motivation of Purushartha. If Purushartha both is not there, then it is not rasa realization. It is simply entertainment. So the whole tradition of Bharat Muni in the which starts from the text of Natyashastra and runs through almost 2,500 years in India, the whole aesthetics under the Indian knowledge systems, the Natyashastra and poetics and prosody and all other art. The chandas also, how they liberate within, and poetry, kavya also, how it liberates and how it leads to the attainment of four purusharthas. So no theorist disagrees with the proposition that kavya, natya, kalas, they lead to four purusharthas. They motivate towards four purusharthas, beginning from Bharat Muni, Bhama, Dandi, Vaman, Kuntak, Abhinavgupta, coming up to Pandita Jagannatha, Appaya Dikshit, and even the theorists in the 20th and 21st centuries, like Reva Prasad Dwivedi, he is a great acharya of this tradition, and many others are also there. None disagrees that the Natya and Kavya, they will lead to four Purusharthas. This will be the purpose of Natya and Kavya, and this is the purpose of aesthetics and arts as well. In this way, the whole tradition of our knowledge systems under this Natyashastra, in the tradition of Natyashastra, differs from the Western concept of art and literature, because it may not be necessary in a realistic theater, in a realistic novel, that Purushartha bodh is there. But here it is a desideratum. So with these words, I will conclude my lecture. Thank you very much for giving a patient hearing. Namaskar.
Thank you.